Hey guys, and welcome to the Midlife Awakening. This is a podcast about transformation for women who are waking up to who they really are while navigating all that comes with midlife. I'm so glad that you're here, whether you're driving to work, hiding from your kids in the bathroom, or walking aimlessly through the grocery store wondering, what is for dinner again? You have found your people. This is episode 2, and today we're getting a little personal. I want to share a bit about who I am, how I got here, and why I decided to start oversharing on the internet in podcast form. Now, turning 40 is supposed to be empowering, right? Celebration, wisdom, confidence. And listen, I'm down for all of that, and I wanted that. I really did. But the truth, I kind of crash landed into 40. There was no enlightenment, just a lot of anxiety, an unexpected pregnancy, and a deep sighing, wondering if it's too late to run off and live in a commune in Portugal. I might still do that. Stay tuned. You see, for the first time in my life, I realized I was in survival mode, doing all the things, holding it together, smiling through the chaos, like that one duck on the pond, all calm on the surface, but paddling like hell underneath. But somewhere along the line, I looked up and thought, whose life is this? Like, when did I stop choosing and start just reacting? There were patterns I kept repeating, people I kept pleasing, versions of myself I kept shrinking to fit in. And one day I realized I don't want to survive life anymore. I want to feel it. Fully, awkwardly, joyfully. Even if it means ugly crying in the shower on a Tuesday. So the podcast was born. Not as a look at me, I've got it all figured out kind of thing. More like, hey, I'm in the middle of a midlife identity shakeup. Anyone else feeling the same? The Midlife Awakening is my love letter to starting over. Whether it's at 40 or 50, whatever age the existential crisis hits, it's a space to talk about healing old wounds, breaking cycles, doing weird things in the name of self-discovery, and maybe even finding peace along the way, or at least better snacks. Each week I'll be sharing what I'm trying, from therapy to journaling, to maybe even hugging trees. I'll talk about what's helping, what's hilarious in hindsight, and what I'm still trying to figure out. So if you've ever asked, is this all there is? You're not alone. This is our messy, magical midlife experiment. So let's figure this out together. Hey guys, welcome to the Midlife Awakening podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here. If you listened to the first episode, thank you for taking the first step with me and coming back. And if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. I'm really happy that you found your way here. So in today's conversation, I'm going to go a little personal and talk a little bit about myself and my journey so far. I'll also cover a bit about what you can expect in this podcast going forward in terms of the format. So hi, my name's Odelia. I'm currently 42 years old, which is kind of weird because in my head, I'm still somewhere between the ages of 21 and 27. But my knees, my skin, and my Spotify recommendations are going to tell you otherwise. I have 2 beautiful boys that drive me crazy on most days, but honestly, I can't imagine my life without them. They are my sun and my moon, and I couldn't live without them. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey so far. If you've noticed, I have a bit of an accent. A lot of people think that I'm either from Australia or from New Zealand. And if you were thinking either of those, you'd be wrong. So I'm originally from South Africa. I was born there and lived there for the first 34 years of my life. So hello, anxiety. That's where you come from. And I moved over to London, England when I was 34. We wanted a better quality of life and to be able to feel safe. So we moved over a good couple of years ago and we've been living in London ever since. So in terms of my career, I've had a shift in my career in the last 8 months. So I started off my career in finance a good 22 years ago. While I was studying, I worked in finance. So it's all I've really known, really. And I never really felt in alignment with finance. I never really felt like I was good at it or that it was what I was meant to be doing in this world. It was really great because the money was great. The only real part of that job that career that I really enjoyed was getting to work with people. So where I got to manage teams or lead teams, I found that I had a real knack for that, and I really enjoyed that part of part of my various roles that I've had over the years. So I worked mostly as a finance manager in various big corporations, and it has served me well because it gave me the opportunity to move to London. So I can't really complain from that perspective. There was one role that I had at one point in my life where I got to merge my knowledge in finance with IT and creating systems for finance. And I really, really enjoyed that. And so that was my last role that I had in South Africa before I moved over to the UK. And I had these big dreams when I came to the UK that I'd continue on that path. But unfortunately, I never got the opportunity, and I had to sort of go back into the traditional finance roles until last year when I got an opportunity to finally move into a finance IT role, which I'm super grateful for. And that really, really has changed my life. It has been the best 7 months ever. I did have to take a pay cut, but that's what this journey is all about. It's about finding contentment and fulfillment no matter what you have to do. So there are adjustments that we have to make. And I'm so glad that I did that, because I'm far happier now than I would have been if I had just gone back into another traditional finance role. I had taken a career break prior to that because the stress was just too much and I wanted to spend time with my family. And I feel like that period of time was really, really an important period because it gave me time to reflect on what it is that I want, what it is that I need. And so I'm really grateful that when I was ready to go back to work, that this role came up. So some other changes that I've experienced, unfortunately, perimenopause. Oh my gosh. So I started feeling some symptoms for perimenopause quite a while ago. My main ones were brain fog. I feel like I've had brain fog forever, to be honest. But that's a big thing that I struggle with even still today. Mood changes definitely have increased over the last, I'd say 6 months. Not been great. I feel sorry for my family most days because they never know who they're going to get. Is it Jekyll or is it Hyde? Could probably, maybe we could do like a voting roll and see who wins today. Is it Jekyll or is it Hyde? Who's coming down the stairs? So yeah, definitely feel that. And hot flashes, man, hot flashes. I mean, I remember moving over to the UK and really struggling with the cold because I don't like the cold. I really struggle with the cold. But since I've been having hot flashes, I do not have that problem. The upside is that it has really forced me to get in touch with my body again. I think as women, we really do tend to disconnect from our bodies. We're taught to do that from a very young age, I think. And this has been a great experience in terms of me sort of reconnecting with my body and listening to my body. So now I can actually tell which time of the month, at what time of the month I am in my cycle, because I know that just before my cycle's about to end, I become really sensitive to the cold, extremely sensitive to the cold. Once my cycle restarts, then I'm back to hot flashes galore, and nothing can cool me down. So that's been the upside, and I've really been on this journey looking into cyclical living and really following that path. And I'll talk about this in another episode because I think it's really important for us as women. Some of the physical changes that I've had, or physical struggles that I've had. So I mentioned in the intro that I had an unexpected pregnancy. So I found out a couple of months before I turned 40 that I was pregnant. And I have really, really struggled to shift losing that baby weight. He was a big baby and he loved pushing on my abs. So I also have separated abs, which has been really, really hard to try and fix. And it's really limited me in terms of what I can do in terms of physical exercise to try and help myself. And to be honest, I'm really exhausted. I don't feel like I have the energy at the end of a full workday with 2 kids and everything else that goes on top of it, to try and exercise. Although I do need to know, I do know that I need to make it a priority. But I've definitely seen a change in how I'm able to shift weights since I've turned 40. Whereas previously I could have just, done like a couple of weeks of intermittent fasting and the weight would be off and I'd be really happy. But it's really taking a lot of effort to try and shift this weight, especially seeing as I'm limited in terms of the physical exercises that I can do. But anyway, I'm just going to love my fat ass the way it is. So I guess that's a lesson to be learned, is sort of loving yourself where you are. I'm now learning to dress myself for the body shape that I do have, because I'm one of those people that for the longest time, I always had clothes in my closet that I was like, I'm going to fit into that. I'm going to lose all this weight and I'm going to fit into that and I'm going to look stunning. And you know what? At the beginning of this year, I chucked all of that crap out. I was like, I'm not fitting in that. I do not have the hips for any of those anymore. I've had 2 kids. It's not realistic. So into the bin you go. Okay, I didn't throw it in the bin. I donated it to charity. So, some good came out of it. Someone out there is wearing some really beautiful clothes that have never been worn before. And so I'm really, really starting to research how to dress better for my body. I'm still a work in progress. I'm not there completely, but maybe I'll do a show on this at some point. The other big shift that I've had is I had a change in our family dynamics. So I had an experience last year where I did some healing work on myself, and I realized that there are some relationships in my life that I needed to go non-contact with. And there are some relationships in my life that I needed to set boundaries with. And so that's been a very interesting journey, because prior to doing my healing work, I would have never been able to do any of that. But, I'm on this path and I'm on this journey, and really, I don't want any toxic people in my life. And I don't want any toxic relationships. As we talked about in episode 1, we really are redefining the relationships in our lives, and we are, cutting out those relationships that don't serve us. And so I've done a lot of that over the last year. And it really has, when I went no contact, it felt like the best thing I could have ever done for myself. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel shame. I didn't feel anything bad. I just felt at peace. And that's how I knew I had made the right decision. In terms of setting the boundaries, that has been a bit more difficult one, but I have learned that I need to stick with it, because your boundary setting is actually a muscle. And if you don't constantly reinforce your boundaries, you will never be able to. So it's like a muscle. We've got to exercise it. And I will do an episode on boundary setting, because I feel like it's a really important topic, especially in midlife, where we are redefining our relationships. Now, if you'll remember in episode 1, I talked about following the synchronicities that life throws at you. So in midlife, you're going to be thrown some synchronicities, and they are going to reveal to you a path that you should take, which can transform your life. And so this really happened for me. The first real experience that I had, and my synchronicities is all about around healing. Now, for me, there's now a difference between going to therapy and being validated, which is really, really important to share your story and get validated and to be able to talk through what you've been through. Then there's the other side, which is the actual healing and releasing. There's a lot out there now at the moment about how we store trauma in our bodies. And I have really experienced this for myself. So after I found out I was pregnant for the second time, I was terrified. My first pregnancy went really well. Didn't go really well, but it wasn't too bad. I had a few complications here and there, but for the most part, the pregnancy was okay. It was the childbirth that was traumatic. It was severely traumatic for me. Somebody else might not have had the same reaction to it. But again, I'll talk about that in another episode. I experienced severe anxiety and depression afterwards, which took me about 8 months to sort of work through and heal myself. So based on that experience, I really did not want to have another child. I was one and done. The thought of having another child was extremely terrifying to me. So when I found out I was pregnant for the second time, I spent my entire pregnancy disconnected and in a state of terror, because I didn't know if I was going to have the same experience. I insisted on having a C-section because I was just too scared of natural childbirth again. And I felt like it didn't work for me the first time. I'm not going to attempt it the second time. I'm not even going to try. I now have a 4.5-year-old who will be 5 when the baby comes. And there is no way that I can go through what I went through the first time with a 4-year-old, with a 5-year-old to take care of at the same time. So I was really terrified. The day came to have him, and it was the most beautifully healing experience I've ever had in my life. It was like my body got shown that having a baby could be a safe experience. I was so well taken care of. It was just amazing. I don't know how to put it in words. I suppose this is what most people feel like when they have their children. But I didn't have this the first time around. And this was so, so healing to me. And it was a life-changing experience. Before I had my second son, I couldn't even watch childbirth on TV. I couldn't look at babies because it would just terrify me and it would take me back to that horrible, horrible time in my life. And after having my second child, oh my gosh, watching childbirth on TV was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I could connect to the beautiful part of it. Seeing babies, I could look at babies and I would start brooding. Not that I wanted to have babies, but it was just so beautiful. And it just shows you that experience, how you can be healed and become a completely different person in terms of that area of your life. So for me, that really showed me that you can heal. Even though I had done the therapy and I had done, I had been in CBT therapy, it worked really well at the time, but I don't think I really healed, right? I worked through it, but I didn't heal. And so having my second son was that really healing experience that I needed to finally move forward. And also it increased the love that I had for my first son, because I could connect to them on a different level, because now like that part of me had been opened up. So there were no synchronicities in that one. That was just the healing experience that I had. I had some synchronicities come up for me last year, again, around healing. I was listening to a podcast on Spotify, and I don't know if you know this, but when you're finished with an episode, if you don't choose the next episode, then Spotify sort of switches to a suggested episode they think you'll like. And I was busy feeding my little one, so I couldn't change the episode. And the next episode that came on was an Oprah podcast. It was the episode she was doing with Dr. Perry, where they were talking about a book that they had co-authored called What Happened to You. And I continued to listen to the episode, and it was a really, really interesting episode. And I thought, I have to get this book because I really, really enjoy reading self-help books. So I bought the book and started reading it. And within the first chapter, a penny dropped for me. Like, I couldn't believe, like, I could really see, with the explanation that Dr. Perry gave, I could really see and understand my own triggers and my own reactions to things, because I could never quite explain my reactions to certain things, and and I had no control over them, and I didn't understand why. And this just like made so much sense to me. And that sort of then kicked off this journey. I then got a free invite to a conscious business accelerator group. It was a beta program, so it was free, and all you had to do was give it a review at the end. It was like a 2 or 3 week course that you had to do. So I felt this little nudge and I decided to sign up for it. The entire course was around reprogramming your subconscious mind. So again, this theme came up for me. Within that program, there was a somatic breathwork session that you could do. And I thought, hey, why not? I'd heard about breathwork. I'd seen it on TV. Did I really buy into it? No. So I thought, what's the harm? I'll give it a go. Late one night, I put it on and I did the breathwork. And that was a pivotal point in my life. It was life-changing and groundbreaking for me. The experience for breathwork is going to be different for every single person. So I'm not going to say that you're going to have the exact same experience, but this is what I experienced for myself. Because whatever you need to heal will come up. And so what came up for me, I was able to access my subconscious mind. I had beliefs around shame. And never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I had subconscious beliefs around shame for myself. And the nice thing about somatic breathwork is that not only does that come up for you, but you release it from your body and you heal that part of you. So as I came out of the session, I started researching this. I couldn't believe, like, shame? Where did that come from? I mean, I know where it came from because I saw it in the breathwork. But as I started to research it, I could see, like, there were these little things in my life, these little patterns, these little behaviors in my life, and it was all linked to this subconscious belief around shame. As part of the session, I really connected to my self-love, and that part of me became a different person. Like, for the first time in my life, me, who was the definition of a people pleaser, the definition of a validation seeker, I was putting myself first. And it was there was no compromise. There was no negotiating. I was putting myself first. And this really enabled me to really start putting boundaries in place and going no contact with people that I needed to, because I was finding my self-worth. So for me, that was a really, really, really transformative experience. The next thing that I found on Facebook, well, I was just scrolling. Bearing in mind, I'm just scrolling on my Facebook feed, minding my own business, looking at everybody else's pictures. And then I see an invitation to an EFT tapping 7-day workshop type webinar type thing. And I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. Now, if you don't know what EFT tapping is, it is emotional freedom technique. It is where you tap certain meridian points on your body, and that's supposed to help you reprogram your subconscious around whatever you're struggling with. It could be eating, it could be smoking, it could be money blocks, whatever. And so I thought this would be really interesting. I could lose some weight. As I mentioned, I've been struggling with my weight since having my second child. So I signed up to the course. And within that, there were 3 tapping sessions that we did. And one of them was around emotional eating. First did a meditation so that we can get you into the state and we can identify what's causing it. And within that meditation, it took me back to my childhood and to an experience that I had in my childhood, which was causing my emotional eating. Basically, it was one of the root causes of my emotional eating. Am I healed from my emotional eating? No, I've still got a lot of work to do, but this was pivotal for me. And so I did the session and I had this meditation that again was life-changing for me. And so this really put me on a trajectory in my life around starting my own healing journey, specifically around healing the subconscious mind. And so since then, I've been really, really obsessed with the topic. And I'm going to share that with you. Whatever I learn, I'm going to share it with you. I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional. So I'm just going to tell you what I read and what I research and what I find out. And any programs that I do that I find beneficial and helpful, I'm going to tell you about, because we're on this healing journey together. And another experience that I've had in my midlife, it sort of started before my midlife actually, is that I finally found my passion. So it was during COVID. I found in that space an opportunity to get introduced into astrology. Now, remember we said in first episode, one of the ways we can navigate this experience of midlife is to reconnect to old interests, right? So for me, astrology was always something really interesting. I first got introduced to astrology when I was really young. My mom had bought a book on Scorpio women, because she's a Scorpio woman, obviously. And I read the book and I found it quite interesting. And I would then read the weekly horoscopes, which I found interesting. Did I find them true or not true? Not really. I mean, I didn't really have an opinion of it at that stage. I just liked reading them. I just really liked it. So YouTube came along and I started searching on YouTube for horoscope predictions. So I'm a Pisces, so I'd go, ooh, what's Pisces for March? What's my March month going to look like, or my April month going to look like? And I would listen to the videos. I had no idea what they're talking about. Mars trining Venus and conjunct the moon. I didn't know what any of that crap meant. But I did enjoy the language. There was something about the language of astrology that really resonated with me. And I would just keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. I just loved watching it. Did I connect it to my everyday life? No. I just enjoyed watching it. I just enjoyed the language. And so when COVID hit, I really took that opportunity. Something sort of came into my feed and it got me back into astrology. And I started following Yasmin Boland. She's a immunologist. I'm not sure if you know her, but she's quite big here in the UK. And she sort of reintroduced me back into astrology. And so since then, I've been on this path of consuming astrology. I love it so very much. And I do it as a sideline thing, not really a business. It's more like a passion. So I do it as a side thing. I do a lot of research. I try and read people's charts that I know. I'm just really fascinated with the topic. Don't judge me. I know it's not for everyone, and I'm not trying to convince you to go and have an astrology reading. Please don't worry. This is just the passion that I found. I really enjoy it. So those are a couple of things that I have experienced along my journey since I've hit my own midlife. And I just wanted to share that with you. So that's what this podcast is going to be all about. It's about me sharing my journey, the good, the hard, the awkward, and hopefully the hilarious. So before I wrap up, I want to quickly share with you what you can expect from the podcast going forward, because I know we're all busy and none of us want to commit to anything with mystery vibes. So I'm going to drop an episode every week on a Wednesday because it's hump day. So to get us through the rest of the week. And the general rhythm of the show is going to be, there'll be some solo episodes. It's almost like a tongue twister. There'll be solo episodes like this one where I'll share personal stories. I'll be sharing my own insights, things I've learned, and sometimes hilarious, but sometimes heartbreaking moments of awakening in real time. I'll do some interviews and guest conversations. I'll be chatting with therapists, coaches, creatives, and other amazing humans who've gone through their own awakenings and have real wisdom to share. So if you're one of them, please reach out. I'd love to interview you. I will be doing a book of the month. So this will also be discussed in the Awakening community, which I've created on Facebook. If you'd like to head on over and join, the link is in the show notes. And this is a community where we can come together, we can share our success stories, we can share our frustrations, and just be there to support each other in general. I will be going live in the group once a week, where we can discuss various topics, just to check in and say, hi, how you doing? I'll also be doing try with me experiments. So every now and then I'll try something new to shake up my routine or to expand my growth, whether that's a new healing modality, a bold mindset shift, or just saying yes to something terrifying. I'll share how it goes, the good, the awkward, and the never again. And finally, there'll be some mini episodes, so quick check-ins, pep talks, or reflections when I don't have time for a full episode in me, because I have 2 kids and a full-time job. But I still want to keep it real and I still want to keep us connected. So if I can't do a full episode, I will do a mini episode just so we can still connect. So this is a space about growth, about honesty, laughter, healing, and permission to evolve without the pressure of having to figure it all out. Am I an expert in any of this? No. What qualifies me to be talking about midlife? Nothing. But I am at the beginning of my journey, and I feel like if I can share this journey along the way with others, you pick it up wherever you're at and you take it with you. That it is just a space for us to resonate with each other. So thank you for being here, for listening, and for choosing to come along for the ride, detours, dance breaks, and all in between. So if this sounds good to you, make sure to subscribe so that you know when a new episode is hit. Share it with a friend and stick around. Put something in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. We're just getting started. Until then, be kind to yourself and remember, midlife isn't a crisis. It's an invitation and an awakening. But sure, call it a crisis if it helps you get out of things you don't want to do. Go ahead. So take care of your heart and remember, it's never too late to begin again. I love you all. Bye for now.